Good evening and welcome to the channel. Today's video is a quick video. I'm just going to answer some questions that I've had put to me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. I've always liked to share and make this channel more personal, as we always say, and this is the way that I can answer some questions that you may have regarding myself, whether that's golf, personal life, YouTube or this particular channel. People keep saying I'm not looking into the camera directly, so today I've made a conscious effort to stare directly into that screen. If there is any questions you may have, you might not follow me on social media. I know a few my subscribers don't actually have any social media, so if you have any questions, then please fire them in the comments section below and I will answer them as well. I'm going to start off with a reasonably controversial question, and this question is from Fraser Beach. He wants to know where I see myself and the channel in the future as a 40-year-old, and do I think it's viable to this forever, or is it time to get back with Dan? We'll start off with the first bit of it, saying where do you see yourself as a 40-year-old, 40-ish year old. I never look too far into the future, I'll be honest, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I've always sort of lived for the moment, enjoyed life and the time, sort of lived in the present rather than looked in the future, and definitely never looked back or look into the past. So am I happy with where my life is at the moment? Personally, yes, I have a good balance of life. I get to play golf 2 or 3 times a week in competitions. I get to film, I get to still travel and do the things I want to do, but I'm also maintaining a nice balance. I've got a girlfriend now who is going really well, so spending time with her and her children. Golf wise, then obviously I'd want to improve. I've been disappointed with my golf game since I started on YouTube sort of 4 or 5 years ago. It slowly deteriorated, or maybe rapidly deteriorated. So I'd obviously like to improve that. So that's one aspect of my life I'm not happy with, but the rest of it, yes, I'm really happy. The second part of the question is quite critical, really, saying that that I've stagnated. Yeah, maybe the subs aren't growing quite as rapidly as I would hope, but like I said, I don't particularly chase figures and subs and views. Like, if people want to watch my content, they watch it, it's brilliant, and I'll still make it. I don't do it for the money. I don't know, there seems to be a whole thing about where my money coming from, why am I not doing it? You can't be making this as a living. I've told you numerous times, and I'll say it again, put it on record, that I do this for the lifestyle. I do it to give me a purpose to get up in the morning. I enjoy making content. That is what I do enjoy doing. I'm never going to get rich from it. It opens up some brilliant, wonderful opportunities, but getting back and doing stuff with Dan, I've said it and I'll say it numerous times, there's not that opportunity to. Dan can't afford to pay me a wage. I can edit now, but I don't edit as well as he does, or as well as Jordan does. So to be an editor on Dan's channel I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to produce videos to the standard and the production that he requires. So just to be a character, he can't afford to have what I would call a hanger-oner, or someone just doing a bit of social media for him and paying him a wage. It's just not possible. And you got to remember, even when I was working for Dan, these trips that I go on with Dan cost me money. I wasn't getting paid lots and lots of money to do it. We go and do a trip, although these trips are paid for, generally he does. Dan's a very generous person. He'll pay for the petrol. The golf's free. He'll be involved with a company that maybe send us there, or the golf club will contact us, but you still have to buy coffees. If you can't not go out and have a few drinks on the night out, that costs money. So every trip is costing me money when I go with Dan. So unless I can get content and good content, then these trips are not really worth doing. And I can't just go on these trips. If I went on a trip every single week like I used to do when I was paid, these trips are going to cost me a couple of £100 a week, and before you know it, I spent £1,000 and earned no money. So unfortunately, there's never going to be an opportunity for me to work for Dan again on a full-time basis and be involved in the channel as like his sidekick or as part of the channel. That just will not happen. So as much as I would like it to happen, as much as I know that you people, and particularly Fraser, would like it to happen. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen, and you're going to have to put up with my channel and Dan's channel being separately, and then the odd time when we film together. Hope that's answered that question. I know well, not really controversial, is it? But I just need to put it out there again that it's unlikely that I won't ever be full-time with Dan again. I enjoy making my own content. I also like the freedom of making my own content. I don't like filming 18-hole vlogs. I'll be honest with you. I haven't got the desire to film 18 holes of golf. It takes 6 hours. It's stressful. 9 holes is what I like to film. You notice all my vlogs, generally when I've got other people on them, would be 9 holes. And I use a 2-camera setup. I use the main camera and then a shot tracer. I don't want to be using 3-4 cameras and spending 6 hours on a golf course. It's just not something I'd ever want to do. So that's another reason why I probably won't go back to that. I don't want to spend 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours filming. I just want to have a nice balance. I enjoy my life. I enjoy making these videos. Hopefully a few people like watching them, and if you don't, then you don't. But that is the way it is, and that's the way of the world at the moment. So the next question is a slightly less controversial one, and it's from Will Stonehouse, and I'll pop it on the screen now and just talk you through it. I know you've had some decent players on the channel. Who would be your choice of collaborator if you could pick any? It's a really good question, and if I was going to pick someone to collaborate with, it'd probably have to be someone that I've not done any content with before. So I couldn't pick like Alex Etches. I really enjoyed filming with him earlier in the year. Obviously Dan I enjoyed filming with, and Lee, I've done sort of content with them. But if I had to pick someone, I'd love to go on Pete Finch's channel and do a couple of videos with him. I really like Pete Finch, and I've got to know him better over the last couple of years. I really enjoy his content. I like the lads that work for him as well. They're really good lads. They're good to spend time with. So if I probably would, he'd be my #1 choice. I'd also like to do something with Liam from Golf Mates. Maybe a North versus South match would be quite a good one. And probably third choice would be, probably no surprise, probably Rick Shields. Mainly because he's the biggest golf YouTuber at the moment. And going on his channel would definitely give this channel a lift. I've also sort of spent a bit more time with Rick over the last year or so. I do enjoy his content, and I do enjoy his company. I sat and had dinner with him at one of the opens at Dundonald Links earlier in the year. So yeah, that'd be nice to go on Rick's channel just to say I've done that, just to say I've sort of filmed and collaborated with sort of the #1 YouTuber in golf. Next question is from Martin, and sorry to hear that he's having similar issues to what I've had regarding the short game, but I'll put the question up now and then we'll answer it. We have seen your trials and tribulations with the short game stroke putting. As someone who is now suffering putting woes, what keeps you coming back? And basically he wants to know why I keep coming back and putting myself through it, I guess. And it's just for the love of the game, isn't it? Like, me personally, I can still play some good golf, some good club golf, not county standard or southwest county anymore, but I just enjoy it. I like the company, the camaraderie. It's just a great game for me, and I keep trying stuff. Like, I guess you're doing the same. You looking for an answer, and I seem to find something that works for sort of a small period, and then it just, something happens and it just, the game disintegrates again. But all I'd say is keep going. Just enjoy it. Don't let it bother you too much. I try not to let it affect my day if I play badly. It's, you know, there's a lot of people that would like to play the golf I play, whether that's missing a couple of 2-foot putts and not winning a comp. Does it actually matter? Not really, Martin. Just enjoy it. Get out there. Fresh air. Good company. There's worse places to be in the world than on a golf course. I'm stood here chatting. I better actually do a little bit of work. I'm actually doing a grip at the moment to one of the members, and I think he's playing later, so I'm just going to get this done. Just excuse me for a few minutes while I get this done, and then we'll get back to the questions. The next question is quite a good question. It's about some of these sort of new YouTubers and some social media influencers. So let's have a little look at the question. How do you feel about the new kids on the block? Big Wedge, Four Brothers, etc. They seem to have lots of subs. Mentioned Four Brothers and Big Wedge Golf, I think he's called. Some of their content's hilarious. I mean, I know a little bit more about Four Brothers, I'll be honest. They started off doing sort of short form videos on Instagram, which are just, you know, they play different characters. Just hilarious, some of the videos. Where they get their ideas from, I've got no idea. I know you watch a video and you think, yeah, that's happened to me, or I know someone like that, and they're just hilarious. And it's hard to go from doing short form, sort of 15-second videos to like a minute videos, to then being able to make YouTube videos that are sort of 8 minutes long or longer, because you need to make 8 minutes to create any financial incentives. Anything under 8 minutes, you just don't get any ad revenue from. So every video you'll see, or generally most people do 8-minute videos and longer. So it's hard, like I said, it's hard to go from doing short form into long form. And lots of these Instagrammers who have, say, 40,000 followers, 50,000 followers, even 100,000 followers, they go to YouTube and they don't grow on that platform. And quite a lot of them will do sort of, you'll see loads of channels that will do sort of half a dozen videos and go, this is not for me, I'm not getting the same views. And it generally tends to be younger people have a shorter attention span, and I think that some studies have shown that, you know, the 15 to 60 seconds is for like under 30-year-olds, and that tends to be their sort of core audience. So when you go into YouTube, the average age of those that watch YouTube increases dramatically, which then means they don't necessarily appeal to the older generation. Fair play to both Big Wedge Golf and to Four Brothers, who have made that transition from one to the other and been very successful on both platforms, which, like I said, you don't see very often. So next question is from Jason. Jason has asked, have I always had a pre-round routine, or has this changed over the years? I've actually misread this and thought he actually meant a pre-shot routine. As a former coach, I cannot underplay how important a pre-shot routine is, and having one. You can go to it under pressure. So if you're in a situation where maybe you need a par on the last, or you've got a birdie putt from 5 foot, and if you make it you win the competition or you win an important match, then having a pre-shot routine, and one that you trust, one that you've used over a number of years, and one that you stick to, is so important. I see so many people that they change this routine when they're playing, particularly amateur golfers. You know, they've got a good score and they'll do something completely different, like they'll go and look at a putt from a different angle, or they'll take 4 practice swings over a drive when normally they'd only have 1 because they're under pressure. Literally just stick to your routine. I've had more or less the same routine since I began, and the pro at the time at Churston was Neil Holman, and he sort of embedded how important having a pre-shot routine is to your game, and I've always stuck by that myself. And my routine is a couple of swings down the line looking at the ball, and then I go into the ball, pick a spot in front of me, I line the club up with that spot, a couple of waggles. You might have noticed I have a little left foot turn outwards as well, and then I pull the trigger. So I try and stick with that all the time. Get a routine, what works for you, and stick with it. Do not change. So now we're going to move away from Instagram and we're going to go to the wonderful world of Twitter, or X as it's called now, and answer a few questions from there. And the first question is, so Brendan has asked, what is my favourite shot in golf? Oh, that's a tricky one. I'd say the shot I like the most would probably be a wedge shot, a lofted wedge from, say, anywhere between 80 and 90 yards, in that sort of region. I would say that's probably a strength of my game. My favourite shot to convert would be a long putt, because it happens so rarely. Next question is from David Jones, and he's asked me about golf mates and maybe appear on their channel with Liam. So I'll answer that question now. I'll just put it up onto the screen and show you what he's asked. And he just mentioned about going up north and hopefully filming a bit with Liam from Golf Mates. I mentioned before about Liam when someone asked me about who I'd like to collaborate with. I've got Liam's personal number. He's messaged me a couple of times. He was been very supportive when I started the channel in the early days. He messaged me saying, like, if you need any help, then just let me know. I would love to go on Liam's channel. I'd love to do some content with him. If that means I've got to go up to, I think he's based around Bolton still, then that would be brilliant. The only thing is, a lot of the time these bigger YouTubers have their sort of band of men or their little groups, and they keep with their groups and they tend to film with them because they know what they're doing, they're comfortable with it. It makes life easier. I'm the same. I've got people who are really good with the camera now. You know, Washi's very good with the camera, so when I film with him, it's almost really, it's like easy to do. Whereas if you take someone who doesn't know how to use a camera, you almost got to like train them up or check that they're doing what they're doing, which makes it more difficult. And I understand that maybe I need to put myself out in 2025, and that may be something I could do, is message a few of these slightly, or not slightly, bigger YouTubers, or even people around my area, around my numbers as well, and just see if they want to collaborate. So I do intend to try and get to places to collaborate with, you know, whether it's golf courses, individuals, club captains, secretaries, pros. I do want to try and push on more with course vlogs and sort of get around the UK more during 2025. Next question is from Andy Berry, and he's asked, were you and Dan taught to do a little left toe twitch to start the swing motion? If so, what is the theory behind it? Just a trigger of sorts? Love the content, thanks. This left foot movement that both me and Dan do, I'll be honest, I didn't even realise I did it until a few years ago when I watched myself on YouTube, and it's like, oh wow, I do move my left foot. So I just literally, my foot's almost like sort of pointing towards the ball, and I turn it to the left as I'm about to swing, and it's basically just a trigger. You know, some people might have a little re-grip. You know, Garcia was a little waggler, wasn't he? Remember Garcia? He doesn't do it quite as much now. Some people set the club back. Mike Weir was a good one. He used to set the club back, bring it back to the ball and then hit it. It's just literally a trigger, and I didn't even know I did it, but it gets me to pull the trigger to hit the shot. Everyone needs a trigger, and I'm a great believer as a former coach that you shouldn't be stood still over a ball. There should be something moving. You want to be in a ready state to hit the shot. So having a bit of movement, whether that's a little re-grip or tightening your grip or waggling your club or setting it on the pre-shot routine, or even sort of like bouncing on the spot, always have something. Don't stand there still over a shot. That is not going to help your game. I am running through these questions quick. Have you got any more? Here's a bit of a fun question now from Mark. He wants to know, what's my favourite savoury pie filling? Mark, I'm a vegetarian, so in the past I used to like a steak and kidney pie. That was my sort of favourite pie, or steak and kidney, or steak pasty. That's what I would eat if I did have the occasional pasty. These days I don't really eat much, so I eat pies, but it tends to be corn, so they do taste a little bit like, I have like a chicken and mushroom, like a corn and mushroom pie, which I really like. I'm not so keen on things like cheese and onion pasties or cheese and onion pies and that, but it'd have to be something that's sort of a meat substitute that tastes like meat. But in the past it was definitely a steak and kidney pie. I used to love one of them, and I do actually miss them, to be honest. So now we're off to Facebook. I've got a few questions there, and I've got one from Owen Wood, who has his own channel. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. The Tattooed Golfer. I know he's doing a bit of content in the summer, but I think he's been a bit busy with his tattoo business and a few things going on in his personal life. So I hope he gets all that sorted, and I hope he gets back filming. So I'm just going to put the question up now. He has asked, do you think it's too hard to make it big in the golf YouTube world? Without the help of bigger YouTubers or lots of money advertising, I see it near impossible, as YouTube doesn't push smaller channels. This almost deserves a full video, but I have actually done a video on YouTube and on what I feel about the system and how it's not helping smaller channels, and I sort of do agree with him, but I also agree with the reasons why YouTube are unlikely to push smaller channels, because of the less ad revenue, less people watching the channels, and it is hard. Yeah, it's hard to grow. I found it difficult, and I've sort of reached almost like, I have sort of stagnated, as Fraser said earlier, or sort of plateaued out a little bit, and you're just looking for sort of ideas, trying to make your content slightly different. It's hard to be completely different to everyone else, because there'll be someone that will have a similar style to me, and you almost like find a style or copy a style, and then you stick with that. So it is hard to grow, but you just keep going. You hope that you get that break, you make a video that YouTube pushes, or it goes viral, or people enjoy it, and then you get momentum that way. So you don't want to give up. You keep going, but you've got to look at always trying to make your content better, whether that's production, audio, or even the edit, and make it more watchable. But for me personally, I'm just going to make stuff I enjoy making, which I've always done, and as long as I enjoy it, as long as a few people watch the videos, I will continue making YouTube videos. And the second part of that question is about spending money on advertising, and YouTube now allows you to be able to push your video more if you spend money on advertising. I haven't done that personally. I know some channels do, and some believe it really helps the video push and also to pick up more subscribers. I'm not earning the money through YouTube to really warrant spending too much money on advertising. It's something I've looked into, and maybe it's something I will consider in the future. If I do a really good video with, I don't know, a slightly bigger YouTuber, then maybe that's a good time to throw £200 or £300 at the particular video to try and push it on and pick up some more subscribers. So it's a tricky one. I'm not too sure whether to or not to actually spend some money and throw a bit of advertising towards some of these videos to give it a little lift. Maybe that works, maybe it doesn't, but it's probably worth a try. So it's something I will do in the future, I'm sure. So just a few final questions, just at this opportunity to thank everybody who's watching this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've got a few more insights into my life, YouTube, golf, and anything else that you want to ask. If you do have any more questions and you're not on any of those platforms, then please hit it in the comment section and I will respond in there as well. So a question on Facebook from Mark Webb is, have I ever played in a vlog with Harry Flower or James Wiltshire? I've played golf with James Wiltshire in one comp. I've got a feeling I was professional, and it was at Downs Crediting in Alliance. Played with my dad. I can't remember who he played with, but I think he was an amateur golfer, and I think it was before he turned professional. Could be wrong, he might just have turned professional. Haven't ever filmed with him. I've spent a little bit of time with him and Harry Flower when I caddied for Will at a Europro event a few years back, but I've not actually done any filming with him. I would like to. I know James is quite busy. He's doing some more he's changing his style slightly, which I quite like. He's doing less fancy edits, more organic content, like around tournaments and practice and golf lessons, which is good to watch. I do like his content. I always have. I do like his style, and he's done really well for himself on YouTube, and he's got a great channel. So hopefully in the future that we can get some stuff done. I know Dan's filmed with James before, and he wants to do like Harry and James versus me and Dan, which would be great, and hopefully we can get that arranged at a future date. Question from Steve Cousins, and I'll pop that on the screen right now. Great question this. Is it hard playing a normal golf game in front of the cameras, Bernie? And I'll say it's absolutely impossible. I don't concentrate at all on YouTube. The golf is probably like 4th or 5th on the list of priorities when you're playing. Thinking of camera angles, I'm making sure that people are comfortable in front of the camera, they're happy holding the camera, they know what they're doing. I'm making sure we're not holding groups of people up, we're not interfering with other golfers. There's just so much going on, and the golf tends to take a backwards step. I mean, I'll just take an example of the Stover vlog. We didn't have buggies, so there was 4 of us playing, and I was carrying my main camera, which I'm using now, on a little handheld frame, but I also was carrying this tripod that I've got set up with this camera with my phone on as a shot tracer. So I was carrying 2 cameras, set of clubs on my back as well, trying to play golf, setting cameras up. You know, there's just so much going on, and it's hard to, people say, oh, you're not playing very well, you're not doing this. It's so hard to film and play good golf, and anyone that can actually film themselves and play good golf, fair play to them. And a lot of these bigger YouTubers will have, they'll have 2 or 3 cameramen doing it, and they're mainly just literally focused, the player or the YouTuber's focused on hitting the golf shot and playing golf like you would in a normal tournament. So that would be the aim. Maybe a pipe dream is to have someone film you and follow you around with a camera, so you don't have to worry about that aspect. You concentrate on playing your golf and getting good content. I mentioned him earlier, and he's actually wrote a question on Facebook, and this is from the chairman of Stover Golf Club. You'd have seen lots of stuff from Stover. Dan did a video, I think a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week, on the Sunday show, looking at all the improvements and changes with Jason Brooks, one of our friends who's the head greenkeeper there. And this is the question that Richard has asked me. He obviously wants a free shout out, but he's asked, is Stover Golf Club one of the best venues you've been to this year? And I can honestly say that Stover is one of the best venues and one of the best golf courses I've played last year. Absolutely, it's up there, and the improvements and changes they've made, and it was always a good golf course. Had issues with drainage, which we know about, which they invested money in improving. It also, for me, it was quite an enclosed, tight golf course. The back nine's very tight. That's almost the same as it was previously, except they've extended a tee on 16, which makes that probably one of the toughest tee shots, in my opinion, in the county. But the front nine has opened up, and you can see sort of the surrounding hills. You can see across to sort of onto the moors. You've got a nice bit of water there as well, and it's a relatively easy start that brings you nicely into the round, and you can build the round before you have a brute of a back nine to try and hang on. So golf course wise, it's one of my favourite in the area. It's somewhere where I'd like to possibly be a member and do some filming in the future, and it's definitely up there. But I'd also say those 3 courses I played in Western Island, which are also different. You had Westport, you had Enniscrome, and you had Cairn, were like exceptional. All 3 were so different, but they were so sort of natural, and I've never seen, I mean, we said at the time, I've never seen sand dunes like it. So I'd say all 3 of them were brilliant, and obviously Portmarnock just rounded off the trip. That is one of my favourite golf courses probably that I've played in the world. But yeah, I mean, I've also been to Burnham. I haven't played Burnham this year, but I caddied around there, and I mean, that was exceptional. Went to an Open, so that was a Troon. Troon was pretty special as well. So I'm lucky in the fact that I've been to and filmed at some like amazing golf courses. Finally, last question is from Gary Smith, Dan's caddy. Gary, good personal friend of mine, he's asked, where do I see myself in 10 years? And I think I sort of half answered it earlier in this particular video. As you know, healthy and happy would be where I'd like to be. Anything else is an absolute bonus. I would like to hit 10,000 subs. That's always been sort of the aim of this channel, to get to 10,000 subs. So if we get there, you know, completed YouTube, and that's probably, you know, as far as I'm ever going to get. But to get 10,000 would be something quite magical. You know, don't get me wrong, I'm really grateful for, I've got 7,500 subs. You know, people take the time to watch the channel, and that does mean a lot to me. And you know, I consider a lot of you personal friends, and I wouldn't have had the opportunities that I've had in golf in the past few years without your support. So it's a good way to end. Thanks everyone for watching the channel. Thanks everyone who subscribed. If you don't subscribe, then please hit that subscribe button. It does help me to make more of these videos. And if you want any questions answered, hit them in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very shortly on this channel.